it's the best time of the year for draft-only franchises, and that is draft time here. And this draft has, I think, a lot of potential here, particularly with the pitching position here. As you can see, the first, 8 or so players on our board are all pitchers, and it's not necessarily in order. I tried to get it as close to in order as I could, but just what we're looking at in this draft, I think my favorite player and the guy I'm hoping we get at pick 4, which is our first pick, is Edgar Torres. I think if I were to tell you what my biggest needs are for this draft, I'd say there's really 3 things I want to come out with. A pitcher that combines a good blend of ready now with a high upside. I'd want another swing at a high upside pitcher. If I can get 2 A potential pitchers in this draft, that's exactly what I'd like to get. And then power bats, maybe even 2. So those are the 3 things. If we can hit those 3 for 3 in this draft, I'm going to be very, very happy. And I think Edgar Torres is the best guy in this draft to hit that first need, which I think is the most difficult. Kind of, actually. Power bat is really hard to get in this class, but just that overall range of 63 to 78, I doubt it's all the way up there, but could he be like a low 70s overall with low A potential? I think that'd be a really good pick at 4 if he is that, and I think there's a good chance he is, with high stamina, high walks per 9, decent velocity and break. Control's not in the best spot, but 4-pitch mix with 2 of them fastballs isn't the best. Maybe we, give him a pitch at some point in his career and just have him have not very great control of it, something like that. Pacheco here, not quite as much stamina, not quite as high of an overall range, but he does have a really good potential range, and I think he's got a beautiful 5-pitch mix here. 5 pitches and only one of them is a fastball. Sometimes you see he's got 4 or 5 pitches, but so many of them are just really fastballs. So they don't actually have that many pitches, but he's got legitimately 5 different pitches here. A lefty, I think one of these 2, but I think there's really 4 guys. We're picking 4th. You got to have 4 guys you're ready to take, and I do here. Next up on the list is Richie Gary. Number 1 rated in the draft by our scouts. Makes me think he's going to be on the high end of his range. He needs to be on the high end of his range. He'd have to be all the way maxed out in his range to even hit the 70s overall. So that's why he's not my favorite option, but I would be willing to take him here. I think he's got a good pitch mix, good walks per 9, good stamina. I like it. And then the last guy I'd consider taking here at 4 would be Oswaldo Vasquez. Throws for a ton of velocity, just has terrible stamina. Another guy with a really good pitch mix. Just really what holds me back with him is his stamina. And then the guy that I really wish wasn't injured. As you can see here, if I move this, his injury, his doctor exam says he's injured, and that kind of toyed with his ratings a little bit, I think. And so would have been, I think he was my favorite pitcher in the class until I found out he was injured, just because that, walks per 9, velocity and stamina combination is really nice. But he's not going to be available in the second round. I just put him on my board because I do still like him. Guys like Tate Castilla and maybe Orlando Pacheco, who are, the not ranked guys. Those are kind of the guys that I'm hoping I can get on the second time around with our second pick. Roosevelt Meadows, another guy who I think would be worth that, second round pick. He is also injured though, so that could hurt his standings. In terms of high position players that are going to be drafted highly, there's only one that I think is actually decent, and that's Richard Tompkins. He just doesn't have the skill set that we're really looking for this year, which is just a power bat at the positions players. But I do think he's a good player, so I just put him on our board. And then here we're getting guys who maybe aren't the best prospects, but they're the power bats that we might be looking here. Starting with Philip Jung, we have all the way up to 100% scouted. Not going to come in and be a high overall player right off the bat, but his potential range is good and his power is good. Juan Ortiz, not going to have potential at all. In fact, he's going to be lower. If we end up drafting Ortiz, I'm going to put his potential wherever his overall is. I don't think I should have potentials lower than the overalls. That just doesn't make a lick of sense. But he's got potentially some good power, but also combining that with good vision and discipline, whereas Jung is more high upside. His vision and discipline is terrible. Particularly that discipline, 14 to 24 is really bad. Darren Roman, we didn't scout him at all, but switch hitter with potential with some power as well. Vision and discipline also look good. Juan Ortiz is another switch hitter. These guys could be really good. And then Ken Armstrong, power with a little bit of speed to go along with it. You like a guy that can combine those two. But another guy whose potential is going to be lower than his overall. Again, if we end up drafting him, that's going to be something that will raise. But he is MLB draft rank 59, so that's why he's kind of fourth on the list here. I don't think we'll end up drafting him because I'm hoping we can take two of these players, two of these four in rounds 3 and 4. Definitely want to come out with at least one of them. If all these guys are gone by round 3, that's going to be a real travesty. And then we get to just kind of the last couple of round picks. I think Julio Benitez, only going to be in the low 50s overall, but guaranteed A potential. I'll take that in the 5th round or in the 4th if all of these guys are gone come the 4th. And then these are all just not ranked pitchers here. Jeffrey Nance has terrible velocity, but he looks good elsewise. Yeah, we didn't scout any of these guys. I don't really put much emphasis on scouting relievers, but these are all guys that are Discovery Scout discovered, and so I think they'll be worth picks in the last 2 rounds. So now that we've got that pretty lengthy draft preview in, let's go ahead and see who we actually take in this draft and who of our favorite players will be going elsewhere this year. Welcome to the, what year is this draft? I think they said it right. This would be year 5, so the 2028 MLB draft, I think, would be this year. We pick number 4, like I said before. Starting off this draft is the Washington Nationals, who take Diego De Jesus. Again, before I found out he was injured and his ratings got a little bit tampered with, I thought he was my favorite pitcher in the class. So depending on how bad his injuries actually mess with his ratings, could be, I think, a really solid pick. The Nationals, it feels like they've been picking at the top of the draft. They've always picked solid. They haven't picked like a home run player, but they've always picked solid. Pacheco was a not ranked player, and he goes number 2 in the draft. Okay, that is easily, at least from the CPU, the highest I've ever seen them take a not ranked player. He was my second favorite pitcher in the draft, so we gotta hope that number 3 is not Edgar Torres. Please be anyone other than Edgar Torres here, and we get our favorite player. They go with Richie Gray, who was my 3rd favorite pitcher. So our 2nd and our 3rd favorite picks both go off the board right before us, but they did leave the guy I wanted the very most. Scouts only rank him 5th and the 3rd best player available, but I just tend to disagree. Great stamina, great walks per 9, decent velocity. Pitch mix, that is his downside here. He's got 4 pitches and 2 of them are fastballs. But that overall range, I think he's got a good chance of coming in and being already in the 70s overall. He just needs to come like in the middle of this range or higher. Guaranteed at least kind of like mid B, if not low A potential, maybe even mid A potential if he comes in on the high end of his rankings. I think he's a really good prospect and exactly what this team needs. We need some better pitching now that can also improve, because a lot of the guys, we have some pitchers that are in the 70s already. They're all C potential or low B potential. So I think Edgar Torres, he's the guy I wanted the most in the end, and I think we got a good one here. Hoping one of these 3 will remain. Don't imagine it's Oswaldo Vasquez, as he's ranked 13th. Didn't imagine Orlando Pacheco getting picked that early, dude. That's a bummer. He was the guy I wanted the most in the second round. Obviously, he was my second favorite prospect in the whole draft. I was hoping the fact that he was a discovered prospect, that he would last, but he wasn't even available with our first pick. Oswaldo Vasquez, again, a guy I liked. I think Richard Tompkins is the best non-pitcher in the class, and he's the first non-starting pitcher off the board. So I think that's the correct decision by the Diamondbacks. Ken Armstrong there. So there's the first of the power hitters. Like I said, I thought he was the least likely to be picked by us just because his MLB rank was 59, but he got drafted in the first round. His potential is going to be lower than his overall, which is not what you want to see. And so it's likely going to be a D potential, a first round pick for the Cubs. Not a good pick. So now at this point, I'm really just hoping Tate Castilla. I do have him ranked a bit better than Roosevelt Meadows here, just because Meadows is injured is part of it. Also, I just think Castilla is a little bit better just because he's got better control, stamina and velocity, and stamina, velocity, control, break, kind of the big four that don't really get changed very much in the game. In development he's good at, and then his per nines aren't terrible, and that's the easiest thing to improve in this game. Also, a nice pitch mix, so hoping he can last for us here. Tate Castilla is still on the board. So what did I say I wanted? I wanted three things: pitcher with high floor with some upside. I think we got that in the first round. And then a high ceiling pitcher as well. Potential range of 81 to 97. He's got like a 50% chance to have a potential here. So I think we're going 2 for 2. Really just hoping that one of these guys can make it to our selection. We'll watch closely for them. Let's see, it's Jung, Ortiz, and Roman. Let's hope we don't see any of those names going across the board here. So I got impatient and just simulated to our pick, and it looks like the 3 power hitters that we were considering are all still here. So the question is, do we go for the guy who has worse vision and discipline but actually has some upside, or we go with one of the guys who's going to supply the power but is not really going to get better throughout their career? I think it's a tough question. I think we'll go upside because these two guys I see similarly. Here's the thing: Juan Ortiz is not going to make it to our next pick. Jung has a chance because he's ranked 138. Roman has a chance because he's ranked 131, but this is pick 75. Ortiz is ranked 78. Still though, this is probably our last chance to actually get some actual upside in the draft. So I'm going to do it here with Philip Jung. Yes, he plays a catcher where one of our best players on the entire team is playing, but we're talking more DH, a guy who could just come in and supply some power. Also, backup catcher is a position that is going to play at the MLB level because there's not a lot of guys who can play the catcher position. So you typically run 2 on your MLB roster. So if you can have Sandoval and Jung be those 2, I'm happy for it. And so guaranteed at least B potential. He is a little bit older though. So let's go ahead and simulate to round 4, see who made it. Okay, so only Roman made it. Like I said, there wasn't a great chance Ortiz was gonna be there. Where did he go? He went to Miami here. We'll check on his ratings later, but we have a chance to get another power bat here in Darren Roman. I'm leaning that way for sure, but Roosevelt Meadows, who I was maybe gonna be comfortable taking in the second round, is still here. He is injured. There's also another upside swing in Julio Benitez, another older prospect whose overall range isn't very comforting, but whose potential is. I just don't see a lot of ratings I'm excited about. If he's available in round 5 and one of the 2 players ahead of him isn't, I'll take him. But actually struggling. Do we go Roosevelt Meadows, who I actually like a decent bit? How much is that injury going to affect his overall though? Guaranteed at least B potential. High 50s, low 60s overall. Let's go Roman. I want some power. I need some power. Another switch hitter, dude. stockpiling switch hitters in this save file, man. And I love it. I love having switch hitters up and down our lineup. And I think there's a chance he's a guy who comes in, you know, high 60s, low 70s. Let's say he's like a 70 overall. And what would that put at 72 potential? Not going to be a high upside guy, but he can provide. The worst thing on the team right now is our lack of power. And so he helps with that. At least theoretically he does. We don't have him scouted at all. Roosevelt Meadows is still on the board. The second baseman ended up going off. Julio Benitez right here goes to the Yankees. They got themselves a good high upside guy who's going to take a bunch of years. At this point, yeah, you take a chance. A guy who's your scouts thought was a top 10 player in the class. He's just injured. Yeah, the 5th round is absolutely when you take that guy. And now we've got, we're only going to take one reliever in this whole class, and we're going to take it here in the 6th round. Let's see who we take. Our scouts have Jeffrey Nance ranked as the 11th best player in the class. Oh yeah, his velocity is terrible. I don't love bad velocity, but a lot of these other ratings look good. Let's take a look at Will Fox. Not going to be very high upside. Like, I think Jeffrey Nance, yeah, his velocity sucks, but it's okay. He's a reliever. He comes in for an inning. He's not going to be an actual closer. Actual closer is probably something I should have looked for in this class, because as I've said in previous episodes, I just don't think Bartolo Ordonez is it. But I think that's something that we could find later on in the franchise, and maybe eventually when we're at the MLB level, we spend, you know, maybe a 2nd round pick on a closer, or maybe even a 1st. I just don't think our team's at the kind of quality yet to do that. But there we have it. There's our draft. Honestly, it went pretty much as good as I would have hoped. We got the guy I wanted the very most in the 1st round. We got my 2nd best favorite option in the 2nd round, because Orlando Pacheco went 2nd overall. Nutty. I thought there was a 0% chance he was going to be overdrafted in this class based on what our scouts thought of him, but he was. Still think it was a great pick. According to my board, he was actually picked in his correct spot. But Philip Chung was the guy I wanted the most in the 3rd round. 4th, it was really between 2 guys. So he was like tied for 1st on who I wanted the most. Roosevelt Meadows, I wasn't excited to take him in the 2nd round, but I was willing to, and we got him in the 5th. And then a reliever that we didn't scout, but our scouts say is the 11th best player in the class. I think it's very hard to do better than that in a draft. Let's go ahead and just take a look at where this team is right now. We're 55-31. We'll get into the signing of these picks in just a minute, but one thing I wanted to do is talk about where we rank in several statistical categories as a team. That's something that I like to periodically check on, and I do it a lot off camera, but I don't do it on camera nearly as much. I just like to see where we're struggling. And batting average, best in the league. Runs, best in the league. Hits, best in the league. Doubles, best in the league. Triples, tied for best in the league. Home runs is where we falter a little bit. We're more middle of the pack, tied for 17th there. RBIs, best in the league. Stolen bases, best in the league. Stolen base percentage, just outside the top 10. I'm comfortable with that. We draw the most walks in the league. We strike out the least in the league. So at the plate, we've been great, particularly with contact hitting, which is no surprise. This team has been the best contact team in AAA ever since we basically started this thing. Slugging percentage were number 1. OBP were number 1. Grounding into double play is how bad. I imagine we're actually pretty bad at that. Yeah, we're tied for the 2nd worst in all of AAA for that. Errors, let's see where we're at with errors. We're in the top 10 in terms of limiting errors, so very comfortable with that. Fielding percentage, top 10 again, like it. Don't need to necessarily lead the league in those, but I don't want to be bad. ERA, 6th is pretty good, and I think we've definitely improved a lot over the last month. I think switching John May for Esteban Acevedo has worked out for us a bunch so far, Esteban Acevedo, I think, has a sub-3 ERA, where John May almost had a 7 ERA. Of course, the Esteban Acevedo sample size is on like 5 games or so, but we saw him last episode, and I think he did really well. So, tied for first in complete games. That's not super important either. Shutouts, but it's cool that we're tied for third. Saves-wise, tied for 10th. Okay, blown saves. We're top 5 in that. Hits allowed. So we allow hits. We're the very last. Where are we? Oh, we're third. We're really good. I just missed it. Okay, so we're really good at not allowing hits. In terms of allowing runs, top 10. Home runs allowed, I imagine we're not the best here. 9th, that's pretty good. In terms of allowing walks, more middle of the pack. Strikeouts, this is where we struggle. So third worst in the league. So win percentage. So we went through all of the pertinent stats in all of baseball, and what we were below average in like 2 of them. So this team has really turned a corner, and there's, I think, a pretty good chance that we eventually end up in the playoffs with a chance to promote to the MLB for next season. If you've hopped onto this franchise at some point in the middle and didn't get the explanation at the beginning, basically how we're going to do this franchise is play AA until we won the AA championship. That didn't take us long at all. Our first season we did it. Now we're in AAA until we win the championship at the AAA level, and then we promote to MLB. So that's the goal right now for the team, is to win the AAA championship so we can move on, because there are a lot of players who I think are good enough to be MLB players on this roster, and I don't want to keep them down at AAA much longer. So if we can win the championship this year, I'd be stoked for it. I think this team won't necessarily be great at the MLB level, but I think they're ready for it. But I'm going to go ahead and find a game that I want to play here, while also figuring out how I want to do the signing of the draft picks. But I'll see you next time I whatever I cut to first, the game or the signing of the draft picks. So one good thing about this class is there is a ton of interest. As you see, all these guys are already in the 70s, and so shouldn't be a very hard class to sign up. There's like one guy in the whole class who's below 50% or something like that, maybe 2. So yeah, we got all these starting pitchers to sign on the first go. Yeah, one guy in this whole thing. I want to scout these 2 guys, but I will offer Chung here. Get him up to 80%. He signs. So he signed 4 of our 6 picks in the first session. And we'll let these guys probably go for a few sessions here, so we can get them up to like half scouted before we decide whether or not we want to sign them, even though I'm probably just going to sign them both anyway, just to get a better idea of how good they are before we sign them, I suppose. All right, so I'm at a place where I'm comfortable signing both of these guys. Jeffrey Nance, who got him up to 80% scouted, and I mean overall 68 to 75 with 75 to 82 potential. That's definitely a reliever worth signing. Easy peasy, got 1.71 mil. Darren Roman, he says no, which gives me a chance to actually look. He's just looking like a really good power hitter, so he's exactly what we drafted him to be. We have to wait a little bit longer to sign him though. And there you have it. The entire class has signed. Last but not least, we got Darren Roman here, switch hitting, power hitting, first baseman. We're winning a lot here. We're on what is our win streak right now? A 9-game win streak, and we're really starting to pull away. We're not going to have a lot of drama. In fact, I don't think we're actually gonna play a game here in July. Let's go ahead and find these guys' ratings, see if any big trades happen at the MLB level, and just call this draft an episode. And we'll also take a look at the end of the month some of the player stats. We've seen the team stats, but it's also important to take a look at team stats as well. Individual player stats as well. No big trades happened at the trade deadline. So now that we're in August, time to take a look at our draft class, starting here with Edgar Torres, 71 overall. So we did get that 70 overall, like I talked about, with a potential borderline A, but this is the guy, has some upside, has some, early impact capabilities here. Let's go ahead and let's see if we can't move this to maybe a better spot where we're not hiding ratings. Seems like probably the better spot for this portion of the video, but 84 stamina with 77 walks per 9 to start. That control at 43 is a little bit low. Durability at 87 is nice as well. Has some holes, control, hits per 9, strikeouts per 9, but has some very defined strengths as well. With that 77 walks per 9 and good stamina. This is exactly the kind of player I was hoping we were getting. Someone maybe for just a tiny bit up, like a couple more overall with a couple more potential, but this is the kind of player that I wanted. As is Tate Castilla here. Again, maybe a little low on the rating scale I was hoping for, but still good enough for me. We got those 2 A potential pitchers, barely, but we got them. Another guy with really good stamina. Last season, a good spot. 52 durability is not quite as good, but those 5 pitches are looking good to me. A lot of these per 9s are in the 40s, so he definitely has a further way to go. He'll be able to play in AA for the foreseeable future to get there, though. And then Philip Jung, another, so 3 straight 90 potential players, and he's definitely a power hitter. Only 57 overall. Definitely going to need to train up that vision and discipline if he's going to actually be able to DH for us, though. But 71 power versus lefties to start out is really nice. I like those hot and cold maps too. There's a lot of red over there. I don't know how much impact that actually has, but it can't hurt at the very least. And then Darren Roman ends up 72 overall with 74 potential, and he's a good hitter. 70 discipline with 74 power versus righties. That can play as a DH next season. Not going to be the highest, potential guy, but that can play next season easily for this team, I really like this pick. Yes, we go from, 3 straight A potentials down all the way to 74, but I really, really like this Darren Rowan pick, actually. We desperately need power. If you take a look, we are 28th in power, and that's just at the AAA level. If I just do this quickly, it's easily our worst. We're the best in all baseball at the AAA level in contact, but one of the very worst in power. Pitching, we're slightly above average. Speed, we're a bit above average. Defense, we're a little bit below average, but the only one that we're really terrible at is power. And so that's why I'm really excited about a pick like Roman, despite just the C potential. Roosevelt Meadows ends up with 60 with 88 potential. I like that a lot. With 87 durability. Okay. Yeah, that's a good pick. Another guy who's going to need... pitcher clutch at 24 is really bad, though. At least it just... Because if you're unaware of how the pitcher and batting clutch works, so if there's a runner in scoring position, the pitcher's hits per 9 will be replaced by their clutch, and the hitter's contact will be replaced by their clutch. So at least, the 24 is replacing a 37, so he is already bad at it no matter what. It's just he gets worse in scoring position. And a 68 with 75 potential, not bad for a reliever. 84 mile an hour fastball, though. Goodness. I'm glad. I hope we don't actually see this guy pitch all that much, for being honest. Oh, that is brutal. But really, really, really like our draft class. I think we did excellently here. We don't have, the big names. We don't have the Russell Mosquedas, the Alberto Rincones, who are just incredible picks, I don't think. Edgar Torres is close. 71 with 90, I think is really, really good. But maybe not the superstar in this class, but I think we got a lot of really good players. Let's look around the league, see if maybe we missed any big time pickups. Manuel Gonzalez, T87 is not bad. Now I think it's better to put us back down here so we can see all these players' wheels. But so far so good. 49, yeah, 80 potential is good, but 49 overall is going to take a long time to get there. 51 and 90. Oswaldo Vasquez. So he was like my 4th or 5th favorite pitcher here. Just his stamina is really bad, but his velocity is really good. But it's just a 91-mile-an-hour fastball despite his high velocity, unfortunately. Fernando Nunez, very low overall, but he's got some upside on him. Ryan Brooks, pretty decent pick. Low 50s is pretty low, but better than the 40s like we're seeing with a lot of these high upside guys late. Miguel Santo, 59 with 91. Good contact hitter. I think that's a good pick. They also picked Juan Ortiz. So our guy is better for sure. Not only is he better now, but he actually has at least a little bit of room for growth. Juan Ortiz, if I remember, come the offseason, I'm going to put his potential up to 69. But I don't know if I'm going to remember to do it for a random Miami Marlins player. But I think had we picked him in the 4th round, I'd probably still be happy with it. But like our guy has ratings in the 70s, you know. Also a switch hitter, and so I just think our guy is better for sure. So we lucked out. Had they both been on the board, I probably would have taken Juan Ortiz just because we had him scouted, so it was a little bit more safe that he was going to be a good power hitter. So thank you, Miami, for taking our guy so that we got the better player. Let's see. Piper, that's a good reliever pick for sure right there from the Mets. I know we want to see the Yankees guy because they got a second baseman who looks to be really good value. Sylvester Pennock. I'd like some more power out of my first base, but a solid pick regardless. Sergio Arrojo. Decent closer, but an early pick on a closer is yikes. And he only throws 90 miles an hour. What's up with these closers who have no velocity, man? Kiki Rojas from the Brewers. Good pick. He's gonna sell a lot of bags. And when he goes up against the lefty, he's gonna have really good contact. It's a good pick. Probably my favorite CPU pick of the draft so far, because it wasn't their first round pick either, and he's one of the better players in the draft. Richard Tompkins, probably better than Kiki, whatever we just saw. A little bit better of a fielder, able to hit from both sides of the plate a little bit more. Not quite as much upside, but then much better now. Richie Nelson, only 45 overall, really. And his 45 is being propped up by his speed. So, like, everything other than speed is like a 30-something overall, but he's got 96 potential. Orlando Pacheco. This is the guy that I was really hoping to get in the 2nd round. Would have been a better player than the guy that we did get in the 2nd round. Stamina is below 70 though. Breaks in a really good spot, and I really like his 5-pitch mix. Launch per 9 is really good too. The Rockies, they definitely didn't miss. It was just super surprising. Ken Barnett as well. So also some guys here with B potential. They did a great job boosting their rotation for the future in this draft. Just going forward here. No great picks there. Richie Gary was my 3rd favorite player. 92 stamina is really good. 82 durability. Definitely wouldn't have been mad at this. Having him just be 63 overall would have been a little bit sad, you know, with the 4th pick in the draft, but I think that's a good pick. James McClellan. So there's some good high upside catchers in this draft. Julio Benitez. This is the guy that we decided to go with our power hitter over. He's got a good arm, and that was really the only thing that he had. He's already 22 years old, so easily worth in the 4th round. Absolutely great, awesome pick. But I'm not mad that we didn't get him over the power hitter that we got. I'll just say that. Only 2 signings by the Blue Jays, and they had a bunch of competitive balance picks that I distinctly remember. I think we easily had the best draft in the league, and I think this is gonna help us not only next year. I think Torres and Roman, whether we're playing at AAA, well, I don't know. I haven't decided what my strategy is going to be if we actually promote to the MLB in terms of who to promote and who not to promote. But if we're at the AAA level, both of these guys will be on the roster and playing regularly for sure. And then if we're at the MLB, we'll see kind of what I do with that. I haven't quite decided. But there you have it for the draft. Hope you guys enjoyed it. I think it was one of my better ones yet, just in terms of what was available to me. I think we got the best players pretty much every step of the way that we had available to us in this draft, and I'm really excited. We have a 15-game lead in the division. We might as well just get to the championship at this point. But no, we want to continue to see how these players do. And speaking of how these players do, I almost forgot. Let's see how they're doing here. Just who's leading us in various categories here. Alden Evans here with 140 hits has a pretty wide margin for the best on the team. Alberto Rincon's already hit 22 homers, easily on track for 30. Nobody else is on track for like even 20. He's also leads us in RBIs by a pretty healthy margin, so he's been an excellent power hitter here. Only a +5 and a -1 though. In terms of stolen bases, I keep pressing the wrong buttons. Alden Evans leads with McIntyre. Those two are easily at the top. There's a bit of a drop off. Average wise, from full-time players, it's Evans. Then McIntyre has got his average up over 300. That's impressive. Guys just under 300 are Mosqueda, Gill, Sandoval. Hitting 291 he continues to impress me every single year. And there's a bit of a drop off after player down to Beasley. On base percentage, we got only one guy over 400. He's not a full-time player. So Evans leads of our full-timers. Slugging percentage, Rincon over 500. Dude's an absolute unit. McIntyre just under 400 as well. He's getting a lot of extra bases. For OPS of Rincon, McIntyre, Gill, Mosqueda, Sandoval, Evans, and Boyer all over 800 OPS. Love to see it. Who's getting walked the most? Victor Benitez. I like it. What's his discipline at? He's gotten +4 this year, which is really good. Alden Evans has also walked the same amount of times. Discipline is only up 2. Rincon up there in 3rd place. And then who's striking out the most? Jason Gill, who his season's turned around a ton. His contact versus lefties is still down 6. But he was hitting in like the 230s, I think, heading into June of this season. But now, as we start August, he's up close to 300. So big turnaround from him. Russell Mosqueda's second. Benitez. So he's walking and he's striking out a bunch. That's what's happening. But he's really on the field for his fielding. He's one of the best fielders we have on the roster. Doubles, Rincon leads us, followed by McIntyre and Alden Evans. Triples, Boyer leads the crew. Okay, not what I would have expected there. And then a 4-way tie after that with 4 apiece. Grounding into double plays, Alden Evans likes to do that a lot. He also likes to get hit. Let's look at WAR. Jason Gill leads us. Okay, so impact, he's obviously an excellent fielder, and then he's turned his batting season around to the point where he is now leading us in WAR. He was almost like, I was going to say, he was probably a favorite through the first 2 months. Big disappointment of the year. You're not disappointment of the year when you lead the team in WAR. McIntyre 2nd, Sandoval 3rd, Rincon and Mosqueda and Alden Evans will be 6 players above 2 WAR. I'd like to see it. I don't know why I backed out because it's the same screen. I just have to switch over here. Now pitchers, innings pitched. Pringle always leads us here, and he always leads us by a wide margin. So we're just striking people out. Leads us here again. There's a pretty big drop off after Juan Lima. As we saw at the beginning of the episode, striking people out is not our specialty. Juan Moreno has the worst, but that's better than what we saw. Like John May was having such a bad season, and now nobody's above just basically 5. Esteban Acevedo, he has regressed quite a bit as he gets more time here. That's fine. He's still doing better than John May, and he's still maybe a little bit raw for AAA. I just wanted to give him that shot. Whip 105. Okay, Daniel Driver, man. He's looking really good this year. He doesn't quite have starter level stamina. That's why he's been a long reliever for us, but those are really good numbers. Ezra Rodriguez has been really good. Maybe we just make him our closer. He actually has a little bit more velocity. Doesn't have a fastball though, which is weird. But let's now go to quality starts. 17 for Pringle, and a pretty big drop off after him. WAR-wise, Pringle leads, no surprise. Quintana, Lima are the 3 that have over a 2 WAR. Ornelas doesn't strike out a thing. Daniel Driver, we saw he's having a really good year. It's not coming from strikeouts at all. Oh man, Ornelas, dude. The 1.59 ERA, which looks good, but his whip is actually not very great. But yeah, his field independent pitching, Ornelas, has not had a good year at all. Not by a long shot. So I think, actually, now that I'm thinking about it, ratings-wise, I think we need some better relievers. We just don't have a lot of guys who, you know, throw hard. So maybe as soon as next season could be when we start to prioritize getting a good closer, as we are very apparently close to the MLB. Probably it's looking like it could be as soon as next season. But we still got a couple episodes here to go in the regular season. Got an August episode, got a September episode, so this team can continue to write the story of this season. That's all I've got for this episode. I'll be back soon with another, and I will see you then.